Well, hi folks, this is Lee from skirmishwargames.com. I'm here with Lynn.
Hello.
And after a longer than expected delay, we thought it was about time to introduce our Stargrave Crews and give you a quick preview of a couple of upcoming games we hope to shoot this week if we hit no snags, fingers crossed. So I've been working on my Stargrave Crew off and on for a couple of months now, and I'm not one of those guys who can speed paint a mini in 40 minutes. It takes me more like 6 or 7 hours per figure, so if I get sidetracked onto other projects, like maybe, I don't know, live streaming Hero Quest and Blood Bowl, a project like painting my Stargrave Crew can stretch on for a while, which it did in this case. Fortunately, however, I am more or less finished, though I do have a few more figures in reserve I could work on. Here's a few more that are primed and ready to go, but I haven't quite painted them yet, and these are more void figures, which we'll talk about here in a second. So the name of my crew is Omega Sector Patrol, aka the last of the Bronze, inspired by Main Force Patrol from Mad Max. So they fly the Rakitansky, which is perhaps the last of the OSP patrol ships, and cut off from any centralized command, reinforcements, or resupply. They fight a losing battle, trying to maintain some sort of order outside the pirate-controlled territories. So they basically devolved into headcrackers and bounty hunters at this point, with badges though. So my Stargrave Crew is basically made up of minis from the old Void Miniatures game by Icor, which has in fact though been rebooted into Void 1.1 by Seb Games. So all or most of these figures should be available at the Seb Games online store. So the bulk of my crew is made up of these Vasa Marines, and I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. They kind of remind me of good old-fashioned space cops. And so like this guy here is a chain gunner. There's a bunch of regular Marines with carbines. This guy here is a grenadier. This fellow over here in the back is a sniper. Yeah, so the Vasa Marines represent the troopers and the special weapons guys mostly. And then we have the leaders and some of the lowly recruits. This lady here is Major Callie. She is a Vasa officer from the Avoid system. And then this guy here is actually from the Junkers faction. And so he is a Berserker Sergeant. And so they're going to represent my captain and my first mate. So the captain is Yana Kalashnikov, and she is a biomorph with adrenaline, regenerate, toxic claws, an energy shield, and she's of course rocking a chain gun, so she has rapid fire. And then the first mate, this guy here, is Magnus the Berserker. He is a veteran with energy shield, fortune, mystic trance, and a void blade. Yeah, so Captain Kalashnikov is more of a shooty person, and then Magnus the Berserker, the first mate, is more of a stabby person, and we'll see how that all works out. Oh yeah, and we also have a couple of lowly runners. These are Void Militia, which actually make good cyberpunk characters too, so if you're looking for some good cyberpunk minis. And then here's some of the militia that I haven't quite finished painting yet, because I didn't need them, so they'll go on the table for later. But yeah, if you have some sort of cyberpunk game you're playing, these make pretty good hackers and assassins and androids and folks like that. Okay, well that is a look at Omega Sector Patrol, aka the last of the Bronze. That is my crew. Now let's take a look at Lynn's crew, which are what? The
Motley Reapers.
The Motley Reapers, because there is a lot of Reaper miniatures in there. There's some Reaper mouselings. Let's see, let's point these out. So these guys are Reaper mouselings. These little robots are Reaper toolbots. These big rats in the back, and this guy here, are Mantic Dead Zone Veermen, right?
Yep.
Here is a Goblin Mechanic from Reaper, and this guy is a Goblin Commando from Reaper. So did you kind of start out looking for a Space Mouse theme, or did you just kind of...
Well, I like the mice and rats, so they ended up being the core of my crew.
And it's nice they opened up the crew to goblins as well as the toolbots. So you have some tiny... Are these your... Well, you can tell us what they are. So tell us how all these guys fit into your crew.
So they're running on the ship Mosley Core 6. Core 6 because it's their 6th ship. And they managed to always pull the core at least.
So they've destroyed 5 ships so far, but they've at least brought the power core and the centralized computing system with them.
Yeah, sometimes more, less. It just depends.
Okay. So it's Mosley Core 6. And let's see, which one of these little mice is your captain?
So this is Kazmina Deadeye, and she got her name because she's a really good shot.
Okay.
So she's very shooty. She doesn't like to get in close.
So even though they have their little cute mouse guns, these are actually big rapid fire weapons with external batteries.
So she is a veteran and she's got armory, coordinated fire, energy shield, target designation, and regenerate.
So is this your first mate here?
Yeah, that's Marsoon Castinian. He's a robot expert. He has control robot, electromagnetic pulse, remote firing, and regenerate.
Did he build all these little toolbots himself?
He pieced them together from junkyards and stuff.
Okay.
It's still a work in progress.
Okay, so that is your captain and your first mate. And then you have, just to rattle off, what's the rest of your crew? So basically you have...
So I've got a sniper.
Okay. This is one of the Mantic Veermen, one of the big guys. So he is your sniper.
This one is a trooper.
That is the Goblin Commando.
This one is a recruit.
That's a Goblin Mechanic. So the Commando must have brought his cousin on board.
Yep, he's learning the ropes.
So here's another Veerman back here. What's he?
He is a trooper.
That's a trooper. And then this big Veerman back here?
That is my burner.
He's a flamethrower, yeah. So he's got some big napalm tanks on the back there. I noticed you went with a metallic theme.
Well, there was a lot of metal when we were scavenging, so...
Oh, yeah. You're scavenging for precious metals and incorporating them into your uniforms. And then this guy here, this is Mr. Jones from Die Hard Miniatures. It kind of looks like an old Rogue Trader mini, sort of a space skaven, if you will.
And he is a Pathfinder.
And he's a Pathfinder. Great. And you can't quite see maybe at this range, but he has a gun at the end of his tail. So he's got a sword, a pistol, and another pistol. And then there's a couple toolbots. Are these your runners?
We got a runner and a recruit.
Well, that's great. Looks like you had a lot of fun with that. And I have to acknowledge that you got your miniatures done in a fairly short order. You were very efficient about that. And I took quite a bit longer. So I've been the drag on this operation. But we're finally finished and ready to play some more Stargrave. So all is well. All right, so that is a quick look at our Stargrave Crews. Now let's talk about some upcoming games we hope to play this week, if all goes well. So for something just a little bit different, we're going to be playing Stargrave Dead or Alive. That is the solo bounty hunting scenario rules written by Joseph McCullough. And we're going to tweak them just a little bit and play them co-op. So at this time, I'm not aware of any official Stargrave co-op rules. But we're going to steal a few concepts from Frostgrave Perilous Dark, which had rules for Frostgrave cooperative games. So essentially, Lynn and I are going to split our crews into two 200 credit cohorts, one led by a captain and the other by a first mate. So for example, in one scenario, Lynn will have a captain and 4 crew members, and I'll have a first mate and 4 crew members, and our 2 teams will work together against the master criminal and his or her gang, which is kind of controlled by the game. Then in the next game we'll switch, and my team will have a captain and her team will have a first mate. So our bounty hunting adventures will take place here in the Neon Lotus Happy Fun Zone, a recreational mecca, an unofficial neutral territory catering to adventurers, pirates, and scoundrels from across the ravaged galaxy. And yeah, technically it's supposed to be some sort of a vendetta-free safe zone, but that's really more of a suggestion than a rule. So our 2 crews have decided to join forces and take down a couple of marks while they're here on holiday. So normally in a game of Dead or Alive, you would have a player with 1 crew facing off against a board full of game-controlled opponents. So that would be a master criminal, the mark, and then his or her gang. But in this case, we're assuming there was a couple of contracts for bounties kind of in the same area, in the Happy Fun Zone, and Lynn's crew and my crew decided to cooperate rather than fight over them.
But since we didn't quite trust each other, we decided to do half and half on each of the contracts.
So we could keep an eye on each other. Yep. So that's why we split it up. So each mark is going to be pursued by half of a Omega Sector Patrol team and half of, remind me what your name is again?
Motley Reapers.
The Motley Reapers. So we're splitting up so we can keep an eye on each other and make sure everyone's honest. Yeah, so basically for the first game, Lynn will have a half crew led by her captain, and I'll have a half crew led by my first mate. And in the second game, I'll have a half crew led by my captain, and you'll have a half crew led by your first mate. So in each game, the marks will be different, and the crews will be slightly different, and we'll just see what happens when we face some game-controlled opponents here in the Neon Lotus Happy Fun Zone. So your mice are a lot more lethal than one might expect. They look cute and fuzzy, but they're armed with rapid-fire electron guns.
Yep.
To cut a swath through any gangs that oppose them.
And then they brought along some muscle.
Some muscle, including a burner, a flamethrower guy. All right, folks, well, that is our secret plan. So give us a few days to shoot some video and do the editing. And hopefully by the time we come back, we'll be able to regale you with some bounty hunting adventures here in the Neon Lotus Happy Fun Zone. But until that time, take care of yourselves, and we will talk to you soon.